Hi, I'm Justin,
And I'm Waylon.
and today we're going to talk about Star Trek. We're just kind of general talk about Star Trek weapons and our thoughts on them. This includes, hand, ground weapons, and maybe a little bit about ship weapons, and see what Waylon's thoughts are. And really, what brought this up, it was the whole, energy weapon versus ballistic weapons, I guess, regular firearms that shoot bullets. And it kind of always appeared to me that I put some thought into this, and I think I figured out the answer. But phaser and energy weapons, and I know about the whole stun kill thing, but they never seemed as effective to me as ballistic weapons, just bullet weapons. Do you have any thoughts on that, Waylon?
Well, it depends on what energy weapon I think you're talking about, because...
I'm talking about phasers, not disruptors.
Right, okay. So we're just a phaser versus semi-automatic AK.
Yeah, like a bullet.
Yeah.
I'll give examples of... I don't have specific episodes, this is from memory, but it seems like all the time... And even situations where they're not on kill. Or they are on kill. Sorry, they're not. They are on kill. It's just...
It wounds them, not kills them.
Yeah, one recent episode of... Yeah, they never die from it. Like one recent episode from Enterprise. Two examples I remember recently. There was one where they went to they found that colony of people from Earth, and it was like Wild West technology. But the penetration on phasers, maybe it's because when they're on stun, the penetration sucks. But you're always watching, and the people are shooting phaser weapons, and people are hiding behind... It's like an 80s action movie. People are hiding behind barrels and, wood things, and the phaser is just not going through it. It just hits it, and there's all kind of sparks.
Right.
But it's like there's, no penetration to it. Or when the Xindi boarded the ship, that one of the several weird Enterprise episodes with alternate dimensions or times or whatever, and obviously the Xindi reptile guys are killing people. They're killing everyone, but they're shooting people 5 times. It takes 5 or 6 shots, or people always getting I got hit by a phaser rifle, and it's just you're in better shape than if I just shot you with a 45 or something, or Captain Archer, they shot him 5 times, and he's still able to get to the... I know it's an adventure show or whatever, and that's the drama of it, but it's just... They just don't seem very effective.
Right.
You always see people shot with them, too, and what's the damage? It's they've got... Their shirt's not even... They've got a little burn hole on their shirt.
Yeah, and I think... I'm going to describe how I see a phaser.
Mm-hmm.
Is... When it's on stun, it's sending out more of a electrical pulse, so it's not penetrating. Something that'll hit your nervous system.
Mm-hmm. We should add real quick that we've researched this,
we're
but
not
we haven't.
expert.
We're not expert. We haven't looked at the research because I'm sure someone's made a technical thing of how these things work, but this is just from our layman's viewpoint.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. Continue.
But I see the phasers as more versatile. You could spread the wider beams. You could do it on a continual burn, so you could heat something up.
We've seen that several
There's
times.
different tactical advantages that you could quickly change on the fly for various needs. So it's a nice utility piece. As far as deadly, I don't think they were designed to... Because the Federation isn't a warlike race.
Right.
When you go to Klingons, their disruptors work.
Right. The downside with disruptors is when you hit someone, they die or they completely disintegrate.
Right.
So I don't think disruptors have any sort of stun setting.
No, they're set to kill.
So that's an advantage and a disadvantage.
And that's based on culture.
Mm-hmm.
So the Federation doesn't always want to kill.
So,
now, when they do want to kill or are in a combat situation, they get those phase rifles and use more power.
I've seen the same episodes with that. It's the same thing. They get little burns on them or whatever.
Yeah.
Would you see the point that perhaps an actual ballistic weapon is more deadly, not as versatile, but would you say it could be more? Because there's two things that a bullet does too that a phaser doesn't. Because when you've got a stream of photons, you just fire someone, and even if you have it on a real high setting, it burns through them. It might even cauterize the wound. But when you've got like a bullet, you've got two things. One, I mean, if it's a smaller caliber, that bullet, when it hits the flesh, it's going to tumble around and it's going to do way more damage. You know, even like an AK round.
Internal, yeah.
Yeah, like an AK round is pretty powerful. It'll probably go straight through you. So it has more penetration, but it might not be quite as deadly because it doesn't hit you and splinter or spin around. And then you've got like hydraulic shock. So when a bullet hits you, it's sending out like since we're mostly water, it's kind of sending out shock waves. And so even if you don't necessarily hit a vital organ, you can rupture it with these hydraulic shock waves that go through.
It's a much better stun weapon.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that way, I guess, a bullet is deadlier than a phaser?
Right, but it's limited in its ammo. You only have so many bullets. You have to reload constantly.
It's true, but
there's
phasers
different
do run out
types
of
of
energy.
bullets too. Yeah, phasers do run out of energy, but they seem to be. I've never seen. I can't remember an episode where they actually ran out.
No, I remember there was like recharging stations.
Yeah, they
like
have to recharge it.
them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would say probably like depending. I mean, on stun, it probably takes way less power than if you have it set to kill.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, it depends.
It depends on the combat situation too. You know, if are you dealing against an army? Is it going to be a long battle? You might want the phaser.
Well, you made a real good point where the phaser for the Federation is really more of it's a utility.
Right.
So it's not purely meant for a combat weapon. And again, that's one of my faults for the Federation. They never, they're in a universe filled with hostile aliens, yet they're so focused on
diplomacy.
Yeah, and I mean, it has its place, but that's another episode. But yeah, although after thinking it through, I did come up with a really good reason why the phasers, people are always getting shot with phasers and not getting very hurt or things like that. And scientifically, that reason is the show and ratings.
Right.
Or
scientifically
like PG.
speaking.
Yeah, it's not an R-rated show. So they don't want people getting shot with phasers and having like giant gaping bloody wounds or arms being blown off. So I mean, I hate to use it, but it's a show, and I guess that's why they have characters getting hit with phasers, and it's like and they just limp to sick bay, and it's like phaser wounds.
Yeah, in reality, a phaser would be like a high energy laser of sorts. Right. So it would burn, but it would probably burn through you.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, that's really my point on the hand weapons. Eddie, anything about ship weapons? The one thing that always struck me about Star Trek, it seems like they limit... I don't know. I mean, there's different aliens that use different weapons, but it's disruptors and then it's phasers and...
Photon torpedoes.
Photon torpedoes, yeah, there's torpedo weapons. Are photon torpedoes solid, or are they I know they're in those capsules, but once they fire, do they become just pure energy warheads?
I think it blows out in a phase pulse, kind of like it's probably got plasma in it too. Another explosive
because there are a couple
material.
I know some ships, it's more in some of the movies, it doesn't happen very often, but there's those pulse lasers or pulse phasers, and you know how phasers like one stream of energy, but these almost are like, remember, I think blah blah blah, what was it, Defiant had those when it like shot those little pulse beams out. You remember that? It wasn't like one stream, it was like plasma balls, but it wasn't plasma. Anyway, I know earlier ships used those for like point defense weapons to shoot down photon torpedoes. Like I said, I've done a little bit of research on this, but...
Yeah, and then later on they have the quantum torpedoes and higher yield stuff. There was that episode in Voyager where that one missile was targeting a planet. Do you remember that episode? And
was it
it was an AI missile.
Yes, I remember that. The Dreadnought or something.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was a cool weapon. Isn't it? But I don't know. I've never seen a mass driver weapon in the Star Trek universe.
Or like railgun.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to... I mean, that would be interesting to mix it up. I wonder why they've never ventured into that, because I wonder if that would be less or more effective against force fields, or just... I don't know. They've never ventured into that, mass driver weapons.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Yes, it's a shame. Oh. Well, that's actually the end of my notes on. But okay, I have another point to bring up that I always find weird and funny. I always think it's funny in Star Trek how they can. I don't know if it's just a Federation thing, but it's funny how all the ships in Star Trek universe are built that you can target specific systems. Like, right. Engines I get, if you shoot the engines, okay. But it's always funny, there's like one point on the ship, and you get a couple aliens that have redundant systems, but there's always like one point on the ship if you hit, their shield goes down, or all right. Their weapons go down. Isn't that bizarre?
The Star Wars conundrum with one little porthole,
yeah.
You know?
Isn't that... I don't know. I just always find that bizarre. It's like, when you're on a battlefield, could you imagine, like... I guess it's possible, but no one's like, hit the turret of the tank to take out their weapons, or... I mean, it's like, I guess a better idea would, like, be a battleship. I mean, every weapon is kind of independent. I mean, I guess you could argue it's different with energy weapons. Maybe everything's drawing from an engine or something, but they can't independent, like, give every weapon its own energy source or something. It's like if I was firing at a battleship, it's like you hit one point on the battleship and it knocks out, it like shuts down every weapon on the ship.
I'm like surprised the Borg cubes aren't more adaptable. Like, they've targeted certain systems to take out Borg ships.
Yeah,
you know?
Isn't it strange? It's just strange.
There should be redundant backup systems and whatnot.
Yeah, it's like take out their life support. Okay, we just hit them here or here. You'd think that it would be like multiple computers that would run or pick up or they'd fix this little problem. I mean, that'd be tough if they ended up fighting a ship that like you couldn't pinpoint certain spots that shut down certain wet systems. I mean, I guess it's a Federation thing because they always want to like disable it. Where I'm sure like the Klingons don't give a crap. They just want to blow it up. Part of the reason they use disruptors, but. It's just a little point I think about sometimes. It's like, that's quite a design flaw.
Yeah, who designs a ship like that?
I know. I'm actually going to make a quick plug because I don't remember. I don't have a URL or anything, but I did a little bit of my research. I found a YouTube. It's kind of like a podcast series, but it's called like Trek Yard or Shipyard, and it's like these two guys, and they talk about like specific ships, like Klingon Bird of Prey or Romulan Warbird. It's kind of dry and it's really technical, but it was interesting. They're really nerdy, like really nerdy. But there's
even more than us.
Yeah, I think yes, definitely. That's just a quick plug. I'm not getting anything from it, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe it'll give us ideas for the show.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. But I mean, like I said, they mostly just do ships, like specifically ships. But it could get really in depth. Interesting. So that's where I picked up a little bit of these ideas.
Cool.
So in a nutshell, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's it.
Yeah, I don't know if basically our conclusion is it depends on the situation if you want an assault weapon or a phaser.
Right.
You know, and it's a matter of lethalness versus longevity and utility purposes.
Mm-hmm. Although like I said, I am surprised that aren't even other aliens. You don't see more ballistic weapons in Star. There was an episode of Deep Space Nine which I thought was a cool idea, and I don't know why they don't have more weapons with that. But it was like a sniper rifle, and it teleported the bullet to the target.
Oh, that's cool.
You remember that at all?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it was really cool. It had like I think it had an X-ray scope on it, so you could see your target through like bulkheads, and then you'd fire the bullet, and it was a conventional round. Yeah. And as it was leaving the chamber, it had like a point-to-point teleport system, and it teleported the bullet like right in front of your target.
And it matched its velocity, so you could shoot through walls.
I don't know why they don't have more stuff like that with bullets or.
Well, you know what? Why not take an assault rifle and mount a phaser scope on it or something? Mm-hmm. So you could
like the best of both worlds.
You could use energy and ballistic, and so when you run out of bullets, at least you're not. While you're reloading, you could at least still lay down cover fire.
Yeah, I know they used ballistic weapons at the beginning of Enterprise for a little bit, but I think it's like you said. I think it's a matter of utility and how the Federation works. Is they're not warlike, that's not their focus. So the phaser to them, it's multi-use tool, really.
Right.
So I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. But you have anything else to add?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. Well, that's our brief episode on phasers and an overview of Star Trek weapons. So thank you for listening, and thanks for stopping by.
Spy!